Okay, so we're we're going now.
Do you hate this podcast?
I don't hate the podcast. No, I hate
Your
uh
co-host?
no, I hate what like cuz usually we'll get ready to do it and then you're overwhelmed with things to do and then you hate me and I just and then it I just basically spend the podcast like this. Um,
I feel you, girl. I feel
dodging
you.
babies crying. Like, yeah, you insinuated this baby crying is my fault. Like, I didn't do it. But everything that is wrong in the world is my fault. I'm sure no other man has ever experienced this, and
Well, last night you were on the PKA podcast for how many hours?
I was on there
From
for almost
6:30
5.
to like
Yeah,
midnight?
11. We got done at 11.
Okay.
So
In
yeah,
the
it
in
was
those
4.5 hours.
4.5 hours, not once did you mention our podcast. You were on a podcast and you didn't mention your own podcast.
Uh huh. I don't self promote well. I don't, and I got my assistant who was also you you handed me some papers to like before she went upstairs to I of things that I should remember to plug.
Well, yes, because the PKA podcast is also on YouTube. So I gave you the link to your caplets, youtube.com/Caparulo caplets, because I knew you didn't know the exact link.
Yeah, because I'm a fucking asshole.
And I gave you the tour dates because I knew you didn't exactly know your tour. I didn't think I'd have to say, hey, tell podcast listeners that you have a podcast.
See, the thing
Sorry.
is like a half
Should
hour
have
ago,
jotted it down,
you were
John.
saying that you're like, I was just yelling at you because it's really me. I did, I knew because you knew you fucked up by not putting that on the things list of things to promote. And but now it's back to I'm a dick because the mics are rolling, everything's on, so it's like, all right, and we're on the air. John's a dick, so great.
You're right. It's my fault for not reminding you to wipe your own ass, or to tie your shoes, or to breathe oxygen. No, I'm just going too far.
Yeah, it really is. I just let you dig that hole.
Thank
and,
you.
so yeah. Happy Thanksgiving. Today's yeah, really. We should have invited the Indians. It's Thanksgiving Day that we're recording this.
I am thankful for you.
It sounds like it.
I am thankful for this teething, crying baby.
Yes, I am. I am certainly thankful for you and everything that has come into my life as a result of you, which is that teething, crying baby, and this puggle, and just a lot of just a lot. Whether it's my life would be
Awesomeness. You're looking
my
for the
life
word
wouldn't be in
awesomeness.
it wouldn't be in as nearly as good a place, even though I can consistently complain about my life, but it wouldn't be where it's at without you. I wouldn't be sitting next to a crying baby when I'm trying to do a podcast if it weren't for you. I used to hate that on planes, but now I have it at home. When I'm trying to do a fucking podcast on Thanksgiving fucking day, it's a holiday. I got a crying baby next to me. Jesus, sweet pea.
Her teeth hurt. She's
I'm
sucking on
sorry.
a frozen washcloth.
I know. Is it losing its frozenness?
No, it's still pretty hard.
All right. You just hurts. I'm sorry.
You want to be a sick pervert? You can. She's sucking it so good. It's still hard.
No, I don't
It's
want.
something
I
in there.
don't want to be a sick pervert.
Oh, okay.
She's my daughter, and I want her teeth to not hurt. That'd be good. There you go.
I can feel them. Have you felt them come in?
No, you said that the other day. I didn't.
Yeah, you can see them a little bit. And she's wearing one of those amber necklaces things. It's
Yeah,
probably a giant
I never
hoax.
heard of it until you told me about it
I went to a
yesterday.
Native American store like last week or whatever, and they said amber is like, what is it called? Like
Uh,
not abundant
it's
anymore. It's like,
endangered maybe? Is it?
no, it's not an animal.
Well, I didn't know if it was endangered. Like it's the same thing as an endangered species, though. Like where it's like, oh, it's I'm sorry that I don't know the word, sweet pea. Yeah, yeah, not abundant is fine. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Not an easily accessed resource.
I don't know.
Whatever.
I'm stupid, so I'm gonna just back off being your thesaurus for this one. So,
But then I found the necklace at Babies R Us, and so I'm guessing it's probably just fucking plastic. Who knows?
well, I mean,
It's all a
but
hoax.
if a simple Native American shop might not have access to the
No, they had.
abundance of real amber that fucking Toys R Us does, or well, Babies R Us in this
Oh no,
case.
it was Bye Bye Baby.
Well, that changes everything. I don't know. I mean, it's yeah, it's who knows. I haven't. I mean, I usually keep up on the amber market, but for some reason I'm slipping. Isn't that where isn't that amber what they do? The mosquitoes in Jurassic Park were like kept
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, I know my Nana has like she has a bunch of jewelry and she has like rings and necklaces and bracelets and stuff that have amber with like mosquitoes and bugs in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like prehistoric caught
That's kind of a
bugness.
waste to keep it on a necklace.
Why? It's cool.
Why
It's like
wouldn't
some
you?
of my
Why wouldn't you
favorite.
take the DNA out of it and start a fucking amusement park?
I
I
don't know,
mean,
because it was probably caught last year. I mean,
mm,
who knows?
oh, you mean it was caught in the amber? You
It's
didn't
all a
say it was.
hoax. I'm saying these bugs weren't from dinosaur era. She just
Yeah,
paid for them to
it's
be that
just
way.
yeah, right. They just tell you. Well,
Yeah, who knows?
yeah, it's this mosquito died in 1964. Ooh,
Ooh.
what are we getting out of that? Nothing. You so yeah. So I did that podcast last night. Yeah, that's a long time
Yeah,
to talk to some dudes you don't know.
they said
I mean, it just
because
is.
they reached out to me with like statistics and like they sounded legit,
Yeah, yeah.
and so I was like looking through their stuff and I noticed that they were really long. But I'm like, how long do you want for him for an interview? Because like 10 minutes is a long time for an interview. Usually when
It
they
is.
go,
Especially when it's over, because it was over Skype, and with Skype, you really notice when you're telling jokes or you're trying to, or you're just saying anything that's funny, like whether it's just a remark or something like that. It like there's a you almost have to like wait an extra beat for there to be any reaction. So it's like you almost like you feel like you're bombing for a second, and then there's a laugh, and then you're like, oh, good, okay, all right, good, all right, let's keep going. And it's like you're just
I'll allow
meeting these
myself
people,
to live another day.
but it's just you're just. I mean, you'd think that Skype would make things. I mean, I guess it does make things easier as opposed to the phone.
Yeah,
With
you at least were able to like see their
yeah,
reactions and stuff, right?
but the thing is what I'm saying, like when you're saying things that are you're just a. I mean, I don't know these guys, so it's just sort of like I generally make more funny remarks or attempts at funny remarks when I don't know people because it's usually just an instinctual thing because it's like it's how I sort of break the ice and when you have that sort of hiccup with basically a phone conversation, it's there's just a yeah. I mean, I always hated that. Like, I'm glad that like talking on the phone is pretty much it's almost extinct. like it's not abundant anymore. It's on the endangered list. It's because I always hated the you know I mean there was just I remember my sister, like, when we were kids, like, she just so desperately wanted a phone in her room, and my parents agreed to, like, give her, like, a cordless phone, but it would, like, the base would be kept in their room, so wouldn't be like she could have her own phone. It was just such a big deal,
Right.
back then. And then, I mean, just the concept of, like, it, like if you got a girl's number, you couldn't text her and just go, "Hey, what's that? You remember me?" Like I did with. I mean, I texted you when I got your number. It's like calling somebody is so potentially mortifying. You're just like, "Hey, hi, it's John." Uh, uh, John, remember the guy you gave you were pretty drunk, I guess. Boy, I feel like shit, but anyway, I just wanted to see if you wanted to hang out or something. And it's like, I mean, or you would. I remember, like, in high school, it'd be like, just calling girls to talk, almost like as a precursor to Facebook or anything like that. Like, you couldn't be on a chat room with people, so you
Well,
just call.
AIM was huge when I was in high school. AOL Instant Messenger.
Right, right. Well, that's yeah. See, I
My
never.
name was my maiden name's Kelly, so Jamie Marie Kelly, but backwards. So it was YLLEKEIRAM.
Yeah,
Uh,
we
yeah.
know it's Jamie Marie Kelly backwards. All right.
What was your
I mean,
AIM name?
I didn't have a fucking AIM name. I
Really?
didn't. I never was. I was never on. I remember I used to hear about chat rooms, but I was
It
never on
wasn't a
one.
chat room because it was like it was basically like Twitter, Instagram. I mean, it was the start of all that. It was your friends.
Right, but see, it's like, okay, so AIM is like, it's like instant emails, also, essentially, right?
Mm,
Like, if you're on the computer at that time.
oh, remember away messages? Of course you don't, because
No, I
God,
don't.
you're no fun.
I know. Okay, congratulations on your marriage. Jesus Christ. I no, I never
Leaving
did
like the
that.
perfect away message was so big, and mine were always song lyrics because I was that girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you still are. You
I don't
still
leave
are.
some like some girls, some ladies leave not Instagram. No,
Some ladies.
Instagram like you don't know Instagram either. Fuck. What
I,
I
I I know what it is. I mean, I understand
leave
what
like
it is.
music quotes. I don't do that.
Yeah, it's well, I've seen. I mean, even like, I always thought there was certain people, like, I know, who, like, would be, they put, like, song lyrics as like my nephew does it. My nephew would do that with, he put song lyrics on the end of his text messages or whatever. Like, and I never understood what they meant. It'd be, like, he'd send me a text, and at the end of every text, it'd be, like,
No, I don't know,
hail.
John.
It'd be like "Hail the Dragon" or something. It'd be like, what? Wait, what was that at the end? He was just, he sent me a text about, I mean, if I was coming into Cleveland or something, "Hail the Dragon" or what? It's, you knew what it was. You saw. I showed you what it was because I was asking you what it was at the time, punk ass. You just throw me under the bus. Like, no, I don't know what you're saying, John. What? We have a baby. I'm saying you have a baby. I don't know what you're saying.
What does this baby have to do with anything?
It's about you throwing me under the bus about
Mm.
stuff that you should know about. Anyway, we are,
So happy Thanksgiving.
yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
What did you do for Thanksgiving growing up?
Mm, Thanksgiving was, I usually liked Thanksgiving of all the holidays, because it was very, very, relaxed. We didn't do anything.
What?
Well, it was just very like there was no I mean, obviously there's no like gift buying and gift exchange, which I hate, but there's there was nobody was coming over. Nobody was we weren't going anywhere. It was just I had, you know, 4 days off of school and Thursday would be just football and food and bed.
It's my least favorite holiday because it's so stressful.
Really?
Yeah, you have to clean and cook, and there's no presents. It's like the opposite of what you like.
You don't get any reward. Huh? I'm sorry. I thought that was cute. We're on Skype actually. Me and her.
Was that a
There's a
delay?
hiccup. Yeah, between my joke and her laugh. It's but yeah, I had the exact opposite experience as far as I goes, because I mean, Jean would make a turkey usually up until she had to maybe till like later when we got when we got maybe into high school and she was or I was in high school, my sister was in college, and she just didn't feel like working that hard in the kitchen, and she'd be she'd just make she'd be like, hey, come on in, we're gonna cut the pizza. It
The
was
matrimonial cutting of the
yeah,
pizza.
yeah, it's ceremonial is what you want.
Whatever.
Matrimony is a wedding.
Go fuck yourself. Happy Thanksgiving.
How's that for a thesaurus, motherfucker? Jesus Christ, the matrimonial pizza. I just, we just, it was really simple. We just always had a very simple Thanksgiving dinner that involved just, me, my parents, my sister. Later on would be my sister's, boyfriend or whatever would come over, but and then and of course all my girlfriends, so yes, I would bring my hand to dinner, but yeah, it was just it was easy, as opposed to like Christmas when it's always like, well, we gotta go, this place for on Christmas Eve, and then we gotta, and then Christmas Day, so and so's coming over, and then we gotta go over to here, Christmas Day night, and it was like always there was so much like, you had to do so much on Christmas. It was just such a hassle. There were so many appointments, and I didn't. I don't like appointments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna take a commercial break. Which is funny because we don't have any sponsors. So we'll be right back. No, yeah, I just
Because you hate holidays so much, like remember that one year that I cried on Christmas?
yeah,
That was
man.
fun. I was just sitting on the floor
Oh
crying,
god.
and the boys were wearing sweaters.
Oh, I know. That's the worst. You just fucking dogs in sweaters and you're crying. And it's like, I mean, mind you, it's like, it's not like we have nothing to eat or something. I mean, there's a pool out in the backyard. I mean, Jesus, get it together, dude. I mean, and I just, I'm not, we didn't have, obviously, we didn't have Madden at the time. We didn't have it was just really a time when it was I get off the usually it's probably like that this year. It's like I get off the road and I sort of have a clip of time at the end of December or whatever going into January where I don't have to go on the road or do anything, and I just don't want to deal with shit. So it's just like, yeah, let's just I just want to hang out and be a fucking hermit. And that obviously, to you would be, I guess, depressing when it gets to, and it depresses me to depress you because I don't want you to be, I don't want you to be unhappy at all. I just but when it gets to that day, like when it's supposed to be Christmas Day or whatever, or Thanksgiving Day, like today when we're just hanging out, just us today, you're okay with it today, but I mean to a degree, I don't think you like me, but
That's not
but
because it's a holiday.
yeah, right. That's not a special occasion thing.
But with
But
Thanksgiving, okay, so we had friends over 1 year. We went over to friend's house 1 year.
uh-huh.
Christmas, we've never really celebrated. I put up the tree and stuff 1 year, and that was the year I cried because you like refused to come downstairs or anything. But you've never celebrated holidays. So I've adapted myself to you. So with getting Madden ready for her first Christmas, I just assumed that one day when my mom was here, my mom stayed with us for the past 2.5 weeks.
Uh-huh. You're
So,
building a case on me.
yes. Um, so one of the times when my mom was here, I was going to take Madden to go sit on Santa's lap. I thought it'd be fun to see her first grandchild sit on Santa's lap and blah, blah, blah. And you hate holidays. That's the major factor in this argument.
Uh-huh.
Or just fact. Is it factor?
I hate weekdays too. I mean, to be honest with you. Go ahead.
Well, so I never, not once did I think, oh, he'll want to be there. He'll want to go to the busy mall. He'll want to stand in line with parents screaming at screaming children. He'll want to sit on Santa's lap, who
Screaming. Okay, go ahead.
sit on Santa's lap, who he
What mall are you going
despises.
to? I mean,
You don't like holidays. You don't like Santa. You don't like the concept. You don't like families and children. None. Like, I didn't think for 1 second that you would want to go see
I'm
Madden
Mr.
sit.
Burns. What the fuck, man? You don't like humans or Earth. The thing is you get. I think a little bit. You want to compensate too much for how I'm. I'm just a grump. I'm a grouch about everything. So it's just like I'm usually gonna, piss and moan and complain about most things, which I'm sure is very attractive. But it's still like you instead of just sort of like, I mean, almost just accepting that that's just the way it's gonna be. You're
I do
you
accept
want to
it.
fix things, and I
I've
understand
become
that.
callous to it.
But you don't. It still affects you to the point where you want to fix it. You
Well, I
know.
want Madden to go sit on Santa and have a Thanksgiving pie to play in. She played in a pie today. Without
That's
context
not a
clues, that sounds
traditional
weird.
thing. We have a Thanksgiving pie to play in. It's not. We got some good pictures, but it's still
We
not
did. I
a.
sent them to my family. My aunt goes, "Did you bake that?" And I go, "No, I bought it, and I didn't even buy it to eat. We bought it for a photo shoot."
Yeah, it was actually good eating though. I mean, after
No,
we
it wasn't.
took the kid's butt out of it, but no, it was pretty good pie.
um, so I took her to see Santa, kind of. We were at school. We saw that Santa had set up, and so she went to sit on his lap. But she wasn't. She was wearing play clothes from school, so I didn't actually get her picture taken. I come home to tell you, my mom and I are taking Madden to sit on Santa's lap in the next day or so, whatever. You're all of a sudden we're like, I want to be there when Madden sees Santa. Blah blah blah. Like you took a stance for Christmas for once,
Mm.
and so I was like, okay. Like I didn't want to tell you that she had already met Santa. So yesterday we go to sit on Santa's lap, and you still didn't know that she had already met him, like that they're close
Yeah,
buds.
no, you did a great job of keeping things from me.
I finally told you because she was so chill with him. She was like, "Hey, I know
Yeah,
you."
right. Yeah, I've been through this before. I'm like so proud of her too.
I
Like,
know.
look at you.
You sat on
You're
that man's
such a
lap.
good.
You didn't
Hey,
know
there's my big strong girl.
him. I'm like,
Yeah,
actually,
right.
they
Dick.
go way back.
Uh huh. But I understand that you think like that, and I'm not faulting you for not realizing that I would feel that way about her sitting on Santa's lap. It was just you know, and like I told you yesterday when we were going, you know, without you thinking of it, I wouldn't even thought to take her to see Santa Claus. At this point in her life, I mean, she's 6 months old. She doesn't know about that. Uh,
It's for her pictures for the future, so she can look
sure,
back
and
and
I,
go,
I,
"Oh,
I
that's my
understand.
first Christmas."
And I I rely on you to remember stuff like that because I just don't.
I'm the keeper of the memories.
You're the historian at this point because I'm just trying to get through the next fucking road trip or whatever and write some jokes, write
Well,
a fucking script, but I don't.
I'm sorry that I introduced her in Mr.
Uh,
Claus.
what? No, I'm saying I'm going. I'm just trying to like I don't like I said I don't fault you for wanting to do that without me or thinking that it wasn't a big deal to me and that you could, but it was just when you mentioned it, I was like, "Oh, uh could you I'd really rather be there for that." I mean, it just seemed like a thing where if it's her first time on Santa Claus's lap, and I don't know why. I mean, it's just sort of like I guess the whole, it's ingrained in me with tradition, and I sat on Santa's lap as a kid, and it's an adult a few times, but that's when that was a weird party. It's but still, I just I did when you brought it up, I'm like I kind of like to be there. I mean, because that's you know first time. I want to be there, and I don't know why, and I don't know why. This out of I can't like really paint a consistency picture for you and say, see, I do this, so that's why I said I wanted to see her on Santa's lap for the first time. No, it's just when that came up, I was like, I don't think I want to be cut out of that, and cut out of that's kind of a wrong word, but I don't want to be not there. I don't want to not be there when she's seeing it for the first time, and I don't know why. And I'm
I'm
sorry.
glad
I just
I'm glad that you wanted to be there. I want you to be a part of all those stupid things. I just
uh,
thought you would think it was a stupid thing. And if I would have brought it to you and said, "Will you come with us?" I'm not.
see. You don't know me that well, okay? Because I don't.
No, I think
I
I
would not have gone. I mean, because I've never said that in my life, and I just wouldn't. I see. The thing is, if had you asked me, I would have. In this case, I would have said, yeah, of course I want to go.
It's hard to keep up with you, Cap.
It is. I didn't say I'm not a head case. I'm a head case. But it's again, congratulations on your marriage, because this is the guy you got.
So, what day of the week you want to go meet the Easter Bunny?
And now, see, you were like, when you were telling me that you had taken her to see, or
I
you
felt like
taken
it
her to
was.
see Santa already, and
I
I
felt
and I
like it was a
appreciate
huge
that you had this
lie.
sort of like guilt, like that you felt that sort of guilt that you had to tell me once we had gotten the pictures and everything taken and it was over. I mean, and usually, I mean, the consequences of me getting mad about stuff are pretty
If you
slim.
would have gotten mad because Madden met Santa for 10 seconds a week ago, like, that would have been
I
ridiculous.
don't. But the thing is, when I do get mad, it's like it's just not really like oh no, I better hide. John's mad. I mean, it's like I'm not gonna do anything. But I just, but yeah, you're like, you know, I'll make sure that you're there when she sees the Easter Bunny, and I'm like, fuck the Easter Bunny, fucking stupid ass Easter Bunny. It's like Santa's punk ass little brother or something. Like he doesn't count. A fucking bunny.
So easy to keep up with you.
Stupid bunny. I remember we used to go see the Easter Bunny. I mean, we saw him a few times. I guess it's I'm surprised I don't remember that like more. Like I don't have more memories than like one or two of seeing Santa or seeing the Easter Bunny.
Really?
Yeah, I don't have that many.
I
You
mean, my
know,
mom has every year. It looks like Santa shit in my mom's house. I mean, it just gets exploded with Christmas.
yeah.
And maybe shit's not the word. Barfed? I don't know. I mean, there's just Christmas everywhere. And I mean, the little snowman figurines, the Christmas. I mean, she's got 1,000 different like Santa Claus. I don't. She just goes
Oh
all
yeah,
out.
you guys did that fucking pickle thing when I
It
got there the
smells
first
like
time.
Christmas in there.
Jesus Christ.
She
I'd never heard of anything like that find the pickle
It's a
thing.
German tradition.
Yeah,
My mother's
yeah.
maiden name is Witzberger.
Right.
Witzberger. Witzberger.
Yeah, that's
Just in
not
case you need my
ominous at all,
password.
but
In case you need my password to anything. Um it no, it means wits means joke or funny anecdote. And burger means mountain, joke on a mountain.
why when people were writing last names, what why didn't
If
they
we
just
have a son, his name's gonna be Wits.
like Luke Skywalker, like that's a name that you go, oh yeah, he's a badass, he's a Skywalker, like
What?
he's but I mean, joke on a mountain, like real, that's what somebody in Germany came up with.
It's a mountain full of jokes, a lot of jokes. Your
A
son being
Witchburg,
named Wits is
yeah,
perfect. It
it's
means joke and it's a
it
family
sounds
name.
like a bad
Anyways, where are we going with
sandwich.
this? A bad sandwich.
Witzburger.
um oh, so there's the German tradition where you hide a small pickle ornament on a tree. My sister and I go at it. It's so
No,
fun.
you do. You go at it. That poor girl didn't go at it. She just was looking for it.
Okay, firstly, she's a college
I
athlete.
mean, she was so honest. She didn't even look for it before we got there. I mean, like,
Well, yeah, she's a little too honest.
yeah, exactly. She didn't look for it like on the. She was like, no, I'll wait till Jamie gets here, and then,
I'd had that thing scoped out for months.
oh, jeez, and I
Well,
mean,
that's what was fun about Easter too. Was that I mean, my sister and I are 10 years apart, so it's always been like I've wanted to have a rivalry with her, but it's not fun until like the last couple years when she's able to like actually take me down. She's like 4 inches taller than me, and she's straight muscle. Like she can knock me out if she wanted to. But
well, not at that time. She was what, a freshman in high school, maybe when we went there that time.
we met when I was 25, so yeah, she was 15.
Right. So I mean, you still you could take her out at that point, I think.
Why are we talking about fighting my sister?
Well, I'm saying because you guys were competing for the pickle. I'm trying to pull up a clip of because you found it.
Of course I did.
Well, I mean, well, of course, because you're the man, honey. Um,
We've even done it where like my family usually goes to Fort Myers, Florida for Christmas, and the last like couple years as an adult and in college and stuff, I didn't go with them. So, and my sister's the only other child in the family. So they would have her look for it, and then they would have like my mom or aunt or someone look for it for me while on the phone, and I would
uh-huh.
I would be going, look up, look down, look left, look right, look like northwest,
That's just
like,
so lame.
and I would still win.
You guys are so lame. What the fuck? I mean, come on, man.
But I want those traditions with Madden. Like on 4th of July for breakfast, we have Sundays, which, I mean, I know that we eat ice cream most days for breakfast anyway, so it's not really a big woohoo. But still, like having those little fun things to do makes the year go round.
Well, I just with the way you won though, I mean, because like, I hadn't,
The first day of winter, I mean, the first snowfall, we make snowballs and then we freeze them. And then the first day of spring, we throw snowballs and have a big snowball fight.
See, you
That's not really a holiday tradition, but that was one of the family traditions that just popped into my head.
yeah, I just remember. I'm trying to find the clip right now. It was just
You're watching
no, I'm
basketball.
trying because it was like there's this clip of like in the '92 finals, Jordan uh, he like went coast to coast and like he dunked on like five Knicks and and he was so pissed off that game like he like towered over the guys after he dunked on him and went, yeah, 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 and it was that's what you did to that little girl when I mean, your 14-year-old sister,
15.
you yelled, you screamed, yeah, it was like it's a pickle, I mean, you're a grown up. You don't need presents that. It's not like when you were a kid when you lived on Christmas. I mean, it's
That's the thing. Having a sibling 10 years apart, we didn't have that cool rivalry when we were at the age where we could have a rivalry.
Yeah, it's damn, it's not on this. '92 finals, Michael Jordan dunking on the New York Knicks.
It needs to be noted that.
'92 Eastern Conference Eastern Conference Finals. Sorry.
Okay, it did not look like Michael Jordan dunking
You
on
did.
anyone.
You celebrated and flexed like MJ, like on a freshman girl in high school. Like yeah. You're like she'd been fouling you all day. Like it was like, dude, what the fuck? She didn't do anything. It's just a pickle. It's just a pickle. Like would you win a fucking Blockbuster gift certificate or something from that? Like
It was a Victoria's Secret gift card.
I wasn't that far off. I wasn't that far off. That's so good. Because yeah, it would be a general gift that could go to either one of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet pea.
Just woke up from a little snooze.
You been milking? Oh, look at your eyes. They're so swollen.
But
She been sleeping?
Yeah, well, she's been nursing.
Through my loud yelling?
Yeah, she's used to you and Barney.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk that much while she was sleeping.
No, she's fine. She's fine. She just, when she kind of like is in between awake and sleep, she has this like old lady granny face that like, oh, you interrupted my sleep. That's my old granny talk.
Yeah. Well, you kids turn down that rock and roll music. That's
mine was better.
No, that's actually mine was. Yeah, bitch, yeah. I got the pickle. What the fuck?
Do you know we have probably like 40 different pickle ornaments? Because after that, it became such a thing for you.
That's a legend. Yeah,
I bought so many of them just to like. It's not even. You can't even find one in the tree now because there's so many of them. It's not a thing anymore.
The thing is, I mean, you're somebody. It's like you want to continue the traditions that you grew up with as far as holidays go, but you can't rely on me to either plan them, execute them, or
show up for them.
Even like say like yeah, let's do that. Like and it's just it's like if you want like Madden to grow up with that stuff, it's it's gonna be at least at this point largely on you because I can't. I just don't. Not only do I don't have the I don't have the time to focus on it mentally. I don't wanna. So
I think you will as you get older. I mean,
I
obviously,
could.
we're
That
not going to
could
have a
change.
snowball fight the first day of spring in LA, but I do want her to have those little things. And I think even in the last, I mean, she just turned 6 months on Sunday. And as she gets older and starts being more aware and you guys have a bond going on, that okay, this is what I'm getting at with this. If Santa had happened 4 months ago, when she was 2 months old and it would literally been putting a doll into a stranger's arms, you wouldn't have wanted to go. But because she's now 6 months old and she was looking up at him and smiling and amazed by it all, you were intrigued by it as well and you wanted to be there for it. So the older that she gets and the more fun she has, you're going to want to be a part of it.
I think you're wrong there. I
What?
mean, as far as that assessment, because I mean, not as far as the second half. I mean, as far as yes, I do agree that the potential for parenthood and how much like I just love her and I want to be a part of her, everything in her existence like you are and like you want to be. I of course I so I'm not just gonna just say, well, I'm just gonna be like this about whatever holidays or anything else forever. I might very well change because of her, and but I think that if you had told me that you were taking her to see Santa, like if you like, let's say you were still pregnant in last week, and you were like after you give birth, you're gonna take her to see Santa. I would have been like, whatever. It just doesn't really matter. But as soon as she came out into this world, I've wanted to be around for her. So I think it's not when she was 2 months old, but she was 2 months old. She was, well into being my sweet pea. So she's no, I think as soon as I held her for the first time, I don't think that
You became so obsessed.
I am I'm totally obsessed with that little girl. Who says that? Besides you, what the fuck? What's your problem?
So obsessed.
Of course, we were having a little pathetic prom in the kitchen a little bit ago. Me, you, and her, and well, it was me and her, and you and Scobie. We having a good slow dance.
We have one of those Amazon Prime robot things where you
It's
say Alexa and she
yeah.
turns on and you say what time is it or set the timer for 5 minutes or play Adele's Hello and she does it. Like it's kind of cool. I like her. You end up like verbally abusing
I think
her.
she's worth the shit. Yeah, I think that there's just I have more music and stuff on my iTunes, and it's just
But it's fun that we have little dance parties in the kitchen now because we can just say Alexa, play murmur,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and we do it.
You
But
can do that with an iPad or an iPhone though, as long as you have a better speaker. I mean, it's a better speaker, but yeah, you can do that with a lot of
not
things.
really the direction I was going
Okay,
in.
sorry.
So you and your daughter were slow dancing. It was really cute. She looked so content
we
up
always have
against
fun.
your chest. And so, I come to try to break it up, break it in, and Scobie comes and is like, uppies. He does his like scratch on
Yeah,
my legs
it's
where
like
he
a
once
cat.
picked up. And so he and I started slow dancing together, and the four of us were just having our own little prom. Well,
Barney,
Barney
Mr. Barney
was a creep in the corner.
chaperoning. Yeah, just making sure you kids are safe. I'm gonna have a little whiskey. Well, I'm watching you.
My mom didn't realize that Scobie likes being picked up. She just
Yeah.
always thought it was something that I did, where I would just like pick him up and carry him around on my hip. It's like,
Hmm.
no, he asked for it.
Yeah, he does. I've never seen a
He,
dog like really, because most dogs like they'll accept being picked up. Like, okay, fine, for a minute, and then they'll start to like wiggle and go, "Will you put me down?"
yeah,
And
he,
Scobie's like, "No, he'll put his head on your shoulder and
no, he asked for that
yeah,
dance.
yeah. He asked to be picked up, and then he wants to. He lays his head on your shoulder and is like, "Thank you for carrying me." I mean, it's like fucking Roger on American Dad. Like, I mean, it's like it's carry me. Thank you. I like being carried.
He's like fluctuated between 25 and 30 pounds for the last 5, 6 years, and I swear he weighs a quadrillion pounds now that we have a 15-pound baby. It was like
The numbers though I always say it's like he stays around. He stays around 25. He doesn't go very high.
no, I mean when
I've never seen him go very high, like even towards 30.
I think there was a moment when we lived here and he was like 28.
I love him. I'm sorry, I don't know that
I'm
you
just
do.
saying that now that we have a small, tiny baby, he feels so heavy.
Yeah, he does. He does. Yeah, because I mean, she's still. I mean, the difference between 15 pounds and 25 pounds is big when you're minute to
When you're
minute.
slow dancing with
Well,
them.
yeah, when you're slow dancing and just, minute to minute that you're carrying that, sack of baby or sack of dog, it's it can add up on your back, your knee, arm falls asleep, whatever.
Get it together, old
I got
man.
a lot of complaints. I got bursitis.
I don't know what that
I don't know
is.
either.
um, so we started this podcast off by talking about another podcast and about this podcast. Do you want to talk about another podcast? Tommy's podcast?
Oh,
Podcast? Hashtag podcast?
well, yeah, we heard that. Wait, how'd you hear about that?
Well, I have an app on my phone. It's Facebook, but for a fan page. So, like,
Uh-huh.
they came to me asking me if I wanted to be a part of it. So it's not your regular Facebook, and it's not your Facebook fan page. It's a separate one called, like, mentions or something. It's, like, black. I don't know. But it basically lets me see everything that I want to. So, like, if anyone types in John Caparulo, I
Uh-huh.
see it. Or I have it also set to, like, the Comedy Store. So I see if anybody mentions the Comedy Store, it shows me that, too. Even the ones in England and Australia or wherever the other comedy stores are. And then I don't Chelsea lately, a couple different like little trigger words I have that it shows me what people are saying.
Uh-huh.
So with the comedy store one, it came up with a comedian I had never heard of, never seen before, Earl Skakel, something like that.
I think it's
He
Skakel.
he have you
I
heard
think
of
it's
him?
Skakel. I've heard his. I know I've heard his name probably around the store, but I don't. I looked at his picture on the thing, and I don't know that I've ever talked to him or come across him. I'm not sure that I don't think I know him, and I kind of thought I mean, at least up until the past maybe couple of years, I just kind of knew everybody around there. So yeah, he
Right.
was
Well,
just
even I thought I would know. I mean,
yeah,
we've been more out of it in the last year or
yeah,
so,
really, yeah. It's I
and
haven't
it's
been around
always
there much.
evolving.
Yeah. Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
with once you got pregnant, and then just with my road schedule, and I've just we live further away too, and it's just like when I have a weekend off or whatever, I don't. Plus, like, well, ever since, because the reason why we listened to this podcast was that
it was an
you saw that he was
interview.
interviewing Tommy.
Tommy Morris was the old talent coordinator at the Comedy Store,
Yeah, he was the
and
sound coordinator for.
I love Tommy.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, he was when you and I first started dating. I was so intimidated by the Comedy Store and all the comedians, and it was like just this place that it was a magical, and I didn't feel worthy of being in it. Tommy was someone who really made me feel like I was welcome there and I was wanted there.
Mm-hmm.
And I will always love him for that, just to make me feel so comfortable that I could go back there and not only just be, he would let me have whatever seat in the audience I wanted. I was allowed to like roam the building. I could go up
Mm-hmm.
on the roof or in the back, and I never felt like, what the fuck is she doing back
Right.
here or
Right.
something. Like he always made me feel really welcome.
Yeah.
So,
And he
he
always from the start, like when from the time he met you, he was he even said to me like, uh, he just thought you were. Obviously, he didn't see us at home, but he just thought you're the greatest thing in the world for me, and I knew he really did. I always felt like he really did care about me. Not only as an artist, as a person, because you know, we basically we worked together at that place, and sort of helped each other, um, do our jobs for a lot of years. So he was an Tommy Morris was a you know when you think about like one of the 5 or 10 most important people in your life, he'd be in there for me. You
wow,
know,
that's
yeah,
major.
yeah.
We don't normally listen to podcasts. Um, and I very rarely do, and you don't at all. And so when
Huh.
this one came up and it was an interview with Tommy, we were driving to go see Santa, and I was like, "Do you want to listen to this podcast?" Never heard this comedian before, but we wanted to hear what Tommy had to say. And
Yeah.
it was what, almost a 2 hour long podcast, and
yeah, they did
the
it.
99% of it was Tommy talking, but that's what
Basically,
Tommy does.
yeah. I mean, you have to really be, you know, well, you have to be a blabbermouth like me to be able to actually, have, take the floor or take take the mic from Tommy and go, oh, wait, no, wait, here, I got shit to say too. And I mean, it's just
There were
he's a
times
big personality. He is.
there were times that we sat in his office at the Comedy Store,
Yeah,
and you two, I mean, you're both fucking motor mouth, and I would get
yeah.
literally nauseous just sitting there. Like, my
Yeah.
brain just needed to
I
turn
felt
off.
bad for you too. It'd be like 3 hours, it'd go by. And like, oh shit, long time. Yeah, I mean, but listening to that, I was kind of just brought a lot of that back up for me about him being gone because that the Comedy Store was so
He was unexpectedly fired.
and unfairly fired. I mean, I think he was put out because the people who own the place decided that they wanted to go in a quote unquote different direction, which their different direction just didn't involve somebody like him who was they basically wanted to do all they wanted to run the whole place like a business. And I'm sorry to wake you, dear.
Sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you. Her face, she was pouting at you like, why? Why, Papa?
Why are you talking
Why would you
so
talk in
loud?
my
Yeah.
sleep? Her face was so awesome. It was such a perfect pouty.
What I'm saying is, that place has basically been taken over from a business standpoint. It's a like every other comedy club, really. Every other comedy club, well, with the exception of a few, I mean, I get along really well and everything with the people who run the place now. They're cool guys and everything, but they're business people. I mean, that's really what their objective is, and developing comics, and being an artist colony and a safe haven for artists to develop is not really a major priority for those guys. And I'm not saying that makes them bad people or anything like that. It doesn't. It just makes them different. And what I just feel like, and I'm glad when I heard that podcast that I think people like Earl. Earl was somebody who obviously was at the would be one of the people who was at the wrong end of Tommy's wrath, as far as his position and him not letting him or not making him a paid regular at the Comedy Store. And so then people would get mad at Tommy, like, who the fuck is he to judge my talent, and why doesn't he think I'm any good, and blah blah blah. And a lot of people hated Tommy for for the really difficult position he was in, which was he sort of he was sort of a figurehead that a lot of people felt like he held the keys to their success, or failure. And the thing is he didn't, because I just think all those guys who complained about him all the time, it was like, well, where else do you perform? Like, do you perform at all the other clubs in town, and it's just Tommy who doesn't want you on at the store? Because if you can perform at every other club, then why does it even matter to you about the store? I mean, because it's like but it's like it's usually guys who get spots nowhere anyway, and then it's like, well, why are all of a sudden they're just fixated on, oh, well, Tommy's keeping me down, just like people used to think Mitzi was keeping him down. But the difference between Tommy and Mitzi was that Mitzi owned the building and Tommy didn't. Tommy was still an employee. So Tommy was it, Tommy could have. There were so many times over the years that he was talent coordinator that he would tell me that he felt like he wasn't going to be around much longer. They were going to get rid of him. They were trying to get rid of him, and so it was like it was something that was in the works for a long time. It just happened to go down when it went down, and the reason why they used for it going down was just it was just an official explanation, and it was it was made up because that I'm not even gonna get into that because it's garbage. But the things that I was interested in hearing it, I guess, because Tommy came along like before he was even officially talent coordinator. In the time that I was at the Comedy Store, I got there and it was a dark time. It was the early 2000s, and I mean the weeknights were so dead, and there we weren't. The Comedy Store was very slow to embrace the internet and the social media and shit like that as it came along, and so they're just the ticket sales and crowd numbers, everything suffered, and the vibe there was just it was hard. It was a rough place when I got there, but I just remember feeling so sort of I guess I it just felt like my outlook was so bleak at the time when I was struggling to get spots at the store because Mitzi hardly ever came in. And when she did come in, she was in a fucking bad mood and she was firing people and it was just a rough play. And then and then you had the guys like they talk about on that podcast, dominating all the stage time. You know, Eddie Griffin. I love Eddie Griffin because he really did help me out at a time when I really needed help in my career, and he's a really good guy as far as just being he cares about the art form, and he did me a solid when he had no reason to, because I really don't even think he even knows my name. He just had seen me on stage and thought that I deserved a shot and helped me out. But back at that time, there was nobody really running the place, and Eddie would come in and man, he bumped the whole lineup for hours. I mean, hours, 4 hours, 3 hours. We'd just be there all night waiting for him. I mean, he was essentially like talking to one girl in the front row, smoking a cigarette. Like, and everybody was just like, "Is this the show?" And I mean, we had nobody really protecting us as far as artists who needed that stage to develop, who wanted to, who had become paid regulars, but were sort of being pushed around, and so Tommy came in, and he had a background in running nightclubs or whatever in Florida, but he was an artist at heart. So it was really, really fantastic combination because it was like a guy who as he went along in that job, he was expressing himself through the talent coordinator position instead of just being a guy who made out a list every night of you're at 9:15, you're at 9:30, you're at
He was almost like a DJ for comedians.
and he actually he would call me and he'd be so excited about the lineup that he made. He'd be like, "See, here's what I got going." Like, I mean, they did. They call you now and it's just like, "Yeah, you're on at 10:45," and that's it. When he was like, "Okay, so the way I got it going is, I have so and so at 10, and then 10:15. And then we're gonna just do this at 10:30, and then you come in at 10:45. Whatever. And it's just like he had
He
this.
understood the comedians and the comedy and the peaks and valleys of how the show would flow.
Yeah, and he gave a shit. That's such a big fucking deal. He gave a shit about that place. He cared. And he didn't own the place like Mitzi did, but he cared about it like he did. And I'm I was glad to kind of get the impression from Earl's interview with him that that they that there was it was almost like time had gone by and tempers had simmered down and people were starting to realize what an asset he was to the comedy world. I mean, because I've been, ever since I've tried to keep in contact with Tommy, through email and stuff like that. And it's, I even said to him in one of them, I was, it was so easy to keep in touch with him when he was at the comedy store. Like I don't call in as much anymore when I'm home, and I know it wouldn't be like that if he was there. Because if he was there, I would feel like, you know, I would tell him, when I had to go on the road for say 3 weeks or something, I'd be like, I got to go on the road for 3 weeks, but I promise I'll be back, at this time. And I felt like it was almost like, I owed him as much as I wanted to go there and do a spot because I cared about the club that Tommy was running, and Tommy was trying to, because he really did the dark place that I came upon when I was a doorman at the comedy store. Tommy turned that place by weeding out a lot of the negativity that was at that place, and by putting the passion in that he had, and by really, really, Mitzi. He was the first person that I had ever seen that Mitzi like allowed to sort of get inside her head and take a tour, and he cared, and he was like he really wanted to do what she did, and because she really really did create a unique and wonderful place for the comedy world, which is the comedy store. It's like no other, and it was just kind of rotting at the time when he got there because she was ill and she wasn't around as much and there was nobody really running the place, and he got there and gradually took the reins from her as far as doing her job. But the problem was is he didn't own the place. Um but you know I just, as far as Tommy Morris himself, I mean, I was thinking about actually calling him tonight after he. Yeah, I don't know if I will because I'm talked out again. But he's just somebody that I will always, I always have a lot of gratitude toward him, and I thank him because I thank Mitzi Shore for what she did and recognizing me as a talent and giving me a place to grow. But I really felt that my outlook was bleak when I was a doorman because I just felt like Mitzi never comes in and nobody ever sees like when I did well and I would go on in stage and I would do, I felt like I was I caught a fallout set or something like that, and I felt like I was, you know better than most of the lineup, and nobody was there to see that. And I felt like, man, it was discouraging. But then Tommy became that guy who was like he saw what was going on every night. So everybody who was doing really well, he would report back to Mitzi and say, you really need to, you know, start giving this guy more spots, or so and so is doing really well, or so and so's dragging the place down. I know they've been there for years, but they gotta go. And he did that, and that opened the door for me and a lot of the other guys he mentioned on there to turn that place back into what it was, which was a place where rising young aggressive voices in comedy could flourish. So that's why they mentioned that thing about Carlos with me, and and I'm cool with Carlos as far as a person, and I've never had any problem with him personally. But I always hated the idea of I'd have to do it when I was younger. I hated having to fucking sit there. Like if I got bumped by somebody who was a bigger comic than I am, and have to sit there and wait to go on and not know when the fuck I was going on, because I get really anxious before I go on stage. So it's torture for me to sit there and go, yeah, fuck, he's not done yet. Okay, yeah, it's still not done. All right, and I remember the last straw was, yeah, the sound guy had put Tommy was gone, and the sound guy put Carlos on in front of me, even though the place was we had a pretty full room that night. I don't know if it was sold out, but it was close. And that wasn't because of Carlos, because he wasn't on the lineup. That was because of, the promotions that they did, and because of, the names of me and the guys, all the other people who were on there. We had built a following ourselves around town. And so we were the draw, and we had filled that room. And I got bumped by Carlos because the sound guy just felt like, well, that's what you're supposed to do because that's what we always used to do. And I said to Carlos, I said, dude, what, how much time are you gonna do? And he was like irritated that I was even asking him. And then he just said, look, I'm just gonna do 20. I swear, I'm just gonna do 20. And I'm done.
What year was this?
This was 2000. Anywhere between 2005, 2000 and 2007, maybe. Um, yeah, probably around 2000. Yeah, somewhere in there, 2005 to 2007. And yeah, probably '07, probably closer to that. And anyway, um, so he said he was gonna do 20, and I waited around in backstage, just seething and pacing and just waiting for him to get the fuck off. And I waited. I got to 35, and I was like, you know what? Fuck this. This is just disrespectful, and I couldn't do that to somebody. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't. I couldn't enjoy my set knowing somebody was back there hating me for wasting their entire night and fucking them over out of their time, and I wouldn't do that to him. And you know, and there are a lot of people who are, Chris Rock in particular. I remember he wouldn't do that to guys like there are guys who actually do care about the other comics and are considerate of other people's, place. And I just was like, I'm not. Look. I can't stop him from bumping me, but what I can do is I can leave. I don't have to stay here. And I don't desperately need the stage time anymore because I was getting enough at that point. So I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm walking. And they can deal with whoever came to see me and didn't get to see me, which ended up being quite a few people, I guess. They had to give them, free tickets to come back. And I was like, I mean, so I wasn't trying to like really, I wasn't trying to make any sort of power play. I just was exercising my own freedom, which was, because I didn't want to deal with my own head, having to wait to go on stage because some rude ass was fucking running the light. So I just left, and what ended up happening is they instituted new rules and made that dude, abide by some sort of code that he wasn't allowed to just come in and bump everybody, and if he did, he was going to have to wait until Tommy said. And that's what it was so valuable about having somebody who was sort of the alpha dog at the place, that Tommy wasn't taking any bullshit, and he was protecting guys like me. And so, I just really, I can't, there's no way I can ever thank the guy enough. I wish he owned his own club. I really do. If I could help him do that, I would. Um,
I
but
just don't understand why you can't have both. I understand having a business to make money and why you'd want a business person to be there, but why can't you have an artist helping the artist? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why can't you have a
I,
mixture of both?
I,
Why did
I,
he have to go?
I think because they maybe wanted their free reign to book who what they wanted to book and not deal with like a lot of times that system there didn't make sense to people. Like I remember one time like Norm Macdonald wanted to go on, and they called Mitzi at night, and she's like, no, because she didn't know who he was or whatever, and they're like, it's Norm Macdonald. What are you talking? And they just ended up like putting him on anyway. But it was like she had sort of that's sort of it's a members only place, and it's a place that's like, look, once you get and you get your
But that's what makes it so cool.
right. But the thing is that
By not
that
having
can
that, it turns it into every other place.
but I think that can maybe counter your um your business plan, because I'll to be honest, I go there, and it's when I go there now, the place is pretty packed a lot of times, and that's that's a large part because of what Tommy did to bring it back, but it's also there's a lot of, I'm sure, business moves that are being made that might not have been that might have been made difficult by somebody like Tommy, who's like, no, we can't. That guy didn't go through the proper channels to showcase or whatever. And it's like, but he's a celebrity, and it's like, but it just, I don't know. I just think, and plus there just been I think years of baggage build up between Tommy and the Shores and everything, like her sons. I think they just kind of were done with that relationship, and it's not like Tommy didn't have. I remember Tommy telling me once that Mitzi wished that she said that she wished she could leave the place to him, and obviously she couldn't. Um, but it was like he I don't think, like, Paulie's an artist unto himself. Like he's a comic. He wants to do his thing and doesn't really want to worry about other people's thing that much. It might change over time as he gets older, but and then his other brothers are businessmen. So they're just not going to look at. They're just not going to do what Tommy was willing to do. He really, it's a rare bird that is going to want to do what he did, and he deserves a lot of credit, and not just from me because of because I was able to flourish under it. A lot of people, and most of us comics who go to that place. I just and then yeah. The other thing just from that podcast interview was just like when they were talking about like why did I get like there's always those fucking grumblings from the which as a comic you have to eventually block out, which you get into comedy and you start to you get this impression that this is a team sport and that we're all kind of buddies and we're a big fraternity and we're all here for each other. And it's all bullshit because it's not football. It's fucking tennis. I mean, it's a single sport. It's not a something that so they're not gonna, you know, there's people who are, getting more spots, more stage time at your expense. They're not gonna, stick up for you and say, hey, let him take some of my stage time. We all moved from wherever to Los Angeles, to chase a dream, and that dream doesn't involve, finding more fucking buddies. I mean, and I say that, and I know it sounds cold, and I'm not.
It's like The Bachelor. I'm not here to
Well,
make friends.
it's not like The Bachelor.
Oh.
It's I don't ever want to, because the thing is it bothered me because I've always thought that I've always been respectful to other people, and anybody I've dealt with, I've always been respectful toward. I know that I'm um very, very anxious and agitated before I go on stage. So there have definitely been times when, you know, people have caught me at the wrong moment before I go on stage because I'm actually, I'm nervous, about whatever I'm going to do. Or, it's like I don't want to fail. I want to do really well. And I want to, I cared about what I was doing, much like Tommy did. And so I don't know whatever the implications were, like what it means, because Tommy never would tell me. Um, you know, well, it's so and so, or there's certain people who don't like me for some reason, and there's certain people who just who decide to compensate for their, maybe for their lack of talent by turning art into a fucking prison yard. But it's not that, I mean, there's guys out there who are in this, who are in the art business, who are no more than just fucking bullies, and they're, because it's easy to bully artists because most of us are pretty fucking passive. So, yeah, they flourish because they're the only bullies around, and it's like, fine, you're I mean, you're the toughest guy in the back of the comedy store. I'm still funnier than you are. So deal with that, stupid. But that's not really the point. I just it just always I've just always been like, I don't know. It always bothered me that there would be some sort of resentment or whatever. Like I got right after I did Meet Cap, I asked Tommy, because Joe Rogan wasn't coming around anymore because of the Carlos thing and all that shit. Joe Rogan used to have a half-hour spot on Saturdays. So I'm like, you know what, Tommy, since Rogan's not doing that anymore, do you think I could come in and do double spots in the OR on Saturdays? Because I want to try to work out some new stuff, since I've already put out a special, and I want to work on a new one. And Tommy was not only the talent coordinator, but he was a supporter of mine. He was a fan of mine. He was largely, responsible for where I got at that place, like I said. So he gladly gave me that extra 15 minutes or whatever on Saturdays in the OR. Now, that didn't last for a real long time, and like he said, anytime he said that, I just have too many guys that I got to put on. Is it okay if I just give you the regular 15-minute spot? Fine, fine. And I mean, I never objected. I never it got mad about it. And then Tommy and I always had this thing where it was like, I mean, you're supposed to do a 15-minute spot at the store. I Most of the time I would come in thinking, I'm not in a great mood tonight. I'm gonna bomb. Just light me at 12 minutes like you do with everybody else, Tommy, because I can only do 15 because I might end up sucking. Because that's what I felt like every night. And Tommy would just kind of look at me like, Yeah, all right. I'll get you. It'll be all right. Like it'd always be like, oh yeah, okay. But then Tommy would like me at 15 minutes, at least, maybe 18. I mean, he would just. Tommy wanted, for whatever reason. Well, I know for what reason. It was because he felt like the show got better because I added something to it. And I don't, and I hate even implying anything like that sounds arrogant or anything, but I feel like, I do my job pretty well because I give a shit about it. And so maybe it's just because, you know, I'm, I'm decent at what I do that I got the, I guess I got some bonus, I guess bonus minutes or whatever. But it's not like I didn't fucking earn those minutes. I was at that place for a long time. There was a long time when I was as good as anybody on the lineup, and I didn't have a spot, so I had to wait on the fallout list, or I had to work the door for 7, 8, 9 nights in a row, and hang the fucking letters on the sign for some comics who weren't as funny as I was. I thought, I had to do that in order to, pay my dues and earn the spots that I got. So yeah, I did go through a time where I got 30-minute spots on Saturday, when it was, feasible for them. And yeah, Tommy was, he was a guy who he was a friend, and he was somebody I could go and talk to and say, I need this extra time, because he wanted me to do that extra time too. He was a supporter, and I don't feel like I was given that time. I don't understand why anybody who was there while I was there would ever question why I got that time. I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, really. I mean, me. I if I mean, there's just certain guys out there who not only are talented but who put the work in, and I was both of those things. So if you got a problem with any time I've ever put in at that place or any place, you can fucking suck it. All right, you really can. I mean, and I'm not gonna beat you up because I'm not a bully. All right, so you know what? You can kick my ass too over these comments. I don't care.
Can you
But
please
still,
not?
but still, I mean, I'll go on stage swollen and be fucking funnier than you are. All right, so yeah, enjoy that. Yeah, that's my piece on that whole thing. Sweet Pierre, I'm sorry, I've been rambling myself. Jamie's been trying to add in when she can, because somebody's at the witching hour now.
It's about time for bed.
Yeah, it's almost 6. That's our life at this point.
Our life?
Your life,
Yeah.
I say ours because I'm trying to be, a team player here. Well, I
For the next week, you'll be home. It'll be our life. But then you're heading to Lexington and then Tempe and Baltimore. You're doing a casino in Baltimore, the Horseshoe Casino.
So
And
yeah, those will be,
Nashville.
yeah. I'll probably be reasonably funny in those shows, because I put the time and the work in, and I think, some talent to begin with. I hate talking like this because
Well, it's not you. You're not a promoter.
I don't. That's
You
why I
don't.
don't promote my own podcast. I know.
I know. I will yell at you for it. But it is irritating when you listen. I mean, we just listened to that podcast just because, oh, it's something that Tommy's on and Tommy's
I
not
wanted to
normally
hear
interviewed.
Tommy when I wasn't, when I wasn't talking to him.
Right.
You
And
know, I
most
thought
of
it'd
the
be
things that
interesting.
Tommy, well, all of the things that Tommy said are things that we've heard before.
Yeah, I almost felt like he told me that just to boost my ego, really.
Right.
And
But
it
then
was
we
it
hear
was it was really it was
where
cool.
where you stemmed off on this conversation, rant, whatever, was because in a part of that podcast, they were saying, well, whatever you think about Cap, as though people talk shit. And because I'm in the back corners of social media, I do see a couple of older comics talk shit, and I don't know why. Because you are the nicest guy I've ever met, and I'm not just saying that because I'm your wife. I married you
Well,
because you're
yeah,
the
yeah,
nicest
yeah,
guy.
right.
But and so it's I've even like asked people and stuff. I'm like, what? I mean, where is this coming from? Because it seems so out of like not even left field, like a left or left, like
Mm-hmm.
a parking lot field,
Right. And I think the two that you're talking about,
are complete
yeah,
assholes
but
and
yeah,
douchebags.
and I think one I know that I've had run-ins with him, just and they've all been I mean I can say this with all honesty, because of him. I mean they've all been his sort of like he started fights with me out of nowhere, like where he's like sort of like interpreted conversations or incidents that over stage time, over whatever, like who's going on next type of shit, that I've never been anything but respectful, because he was a guy that I looked up to and I was a fan of as a kid. I I came to know him as an adult and had much less respect for him. But I mean, he was just still a guy that, like, I mean, still I have enough respect that I'm not going to name his name at this point, because I just I don't think you should do that, and I don't think
Well, he
it's
named
necessary.
your name in one of his podcasts, which that's
Right.
where I had first heard of this because I'm like, where did this come from? And even his fans were asking, well, what did John Caparulo do? And he couldn't answer it. It was
Right.
like he has this weird
But
beef, like a
I think that
that
also
doesn't
comes
even
from.
exist.
I said to Tommy once, I said, you kind of, as wonderful as of an asset to the Comedy Store, and to me personally in my quest as you've been, you kind of hung a target on my back, like, because Tommy saying things like I'm the best, and whether that came from Mitzi or just from him, I don't know. It, he treated me like I was,
Well, it
he
came
thought
from
he,
Mitzi because it's not only come from
but
Tommy.
he for whatever, he thought, because of the way crowds reacted when they were leaving, the people who were repeat customers, the people who, what the guy, he'd always say that they talked about, they usually just, they would like the guy in the hat or whatever it was, and it was like, I just, uh, he kind of put me out, like, almost like a teacher's pet situation, where it's like, you know I was, sort of like, a favored guy. I was put in a favorite situation with him, and I'm put in the situation amongst a bunch of other comics who, whether I'm friendly with most of them, and I mean, it's but there are jealousies, there's competitiveness. I'm competitive as fuck, especially in that situation. So
But yet you
the
can't find the pickle, motherfucker.
I can't find the pickle and dunk all over my little sister. But I just think he put me in a situation where it was like, guys like the guys you're talking about, they started, look, like, if they were looking for somebody to resent and to hate and to be jealous of, they're gonna look at somebody like in my position, when during the years at the Comedy Store with Tommy. And I'm not saying that I'm like, in the comedy world, I'm like anywhere near the top. But I'm saying just at that place at that time, I because you also have to understand comics are generally, and myself included, we're not wired very tightly. So you're amongst jealous competitive nuts, and those jealous competitive nuts are gonna be mad at whoever gets the the treatment that they want to get. They feel like they deserve themselves, and I guess I got that for a while, and so I'm at the I catch hell for it. Um, but not usually to my face, because it's usually I just I don't stir up shit with people. I try to be a decent guy, but I'm trying to be a decent guy in a place that's not altogether decent. People are dicks at times, and those two people that you're talking about, they're a waste of time. Um, but they can they can enjoy going and fucking themselves. So I don't care about. I mean, I like I said, I could spell that one out like I did with Vince Vaughn, but I'm not gonna. Um, because it's just not worth it, calling them out, because it'd be like I'd basically be feeding the fire that they would want to start, which is let's start up a fucking war like rappers, and I'm not gonna do it because I don't want them to get I don't want them to get they're just not gonna get the publicity that they would want from me, and vice versa. I don't want publicity for fucking battling other comics. I don't give a shit about them. I'm trying to just trying to put my own art out there, and I'm trying to do my own thing. Trying to, set my own place in comedy world, and that has nothing to do with them anymore. So, uh, you know, fuck them. But again, I was never anything but um, upfront, decent, and honest with those people, and they didn't reciprocate. Fuck them. So it is what it is. Anyway, I'll be in Tempe. The no, yeah, you made the announcement, right, with where I'm gonna be,
Yeah.
and then we've gone an hour and 32 minutes. So
Yeah, so
that's
we'll say happy
exactly
fucking
what we wanted to do.
Thanksgiving.
Let's go dealing with this crying baby.
All right then.
Good night.